So I got into the business in 1982. I was 19, got a job with Shield Insurance at the time, which is now Zurich. I started off in the household department, and then I moved to Dublin as a trainee inspector, punching way above my weight. Got in very quickly and beat the Dublin lads for the job, and I became a broker in late '96, but bought the Business Tyrrell Coakley in 1997 from my father-in-law. Getting a bit of a name for myself, growing so quickly. I can't really grow the business where I wanted it to be by being a Cork broker. I had a drive and ambition to open an office in Dublin. I serviced brokers for 5 years when I was representing an insurance company, and I thought the standard was fairly shocking, to be honest with you. I thought there was massive room for a dynamic broker. I actually thought that we could do it differently. The first move of the Arcus journey was Tyrrell Coakley and Slattery German getting together in 2002.
Donald's business, Tyrrell Coakley, were based in Cork. Slattery German, which was my business at the time, was based in Dublin, and that was the start of the Arachas journey.
I was friendly with Hodgins Percival. I was friendly with Guy Percival and Roger Percival, but they could never sell the policies in Cork because Cork people don't buy off Dublin brokers. And I had this great idea that if I go see them, they might let me sell electrical policies in Cork. I had great success with it. The first thing I did when myself and Dave decided to get together was to ring Guy Percival and say, listen, I'm moving into Dublin, we're doing a deal with Slattery German. And Guy would say, oh my God, you never told me, right? And I said, why? He said, I'm really interested in talking to you as well because Dad's moving on. I think, I'm looking at what's the future of Hodgins Percival, and I'd love to talk to you about it. And I said, okay, I'll be up on Monday.
So Guy obviously stood up in front of us all in Ivy Court in Hodgins Percival to tell us what the plans were going to be going forward. Everyone was, I suppose, a little bit nervous and apprehensive because we were such a tight-knit group. There was only 30 odd of us. We'd all actually worked together for quite a long time. We were going to be moving out of town, out to the suburbs, to Sandyford. We weren't sure what was going to happen there. So there was a meeting actually then a couple of weeks later where the Slattery German people and ourselves met up, and some of the directors then from Tyrrell Coakley came down. So Donald stood in front of us all, along with Guy, explained what the plans were, what they had in mind for us, and it actually made us feel, okay, this is actually going to be okay. They're looking out for what's best for us. Bigger and better things are going to be coming, but little did we know it was actually going to be as huge as what Arcus has become now.
We think big, we come up with a new name, a corporate name, and we spend the rest of our careers making it a famous brand.
Probably one of the most enjoyable parts of that was trying to come up with a name.
Whatever the name of the company is, it has to start with the letter A. One evening, John O'Shaughnessy was at home with his son doing his homework. His kid was only 10 years old and he was doing Irish. And John had the Irish-English dictionary out. He's looking through the dictionary and he looked up the Irish word for insurance and he said, Arachas. And he sent me a text and he said, how about Arachas? It's the Irish word for insurance. And I said, that's the name and that's the tagline.
24 of us left the old office in Ivy Court and came here, and it was quite large and echoey at the time. You had to walk to talk to anybody because everybody was far away from you, which is very different to the way it is now, obviously.
It was clear that I was going to be the CEO. There was no other choice. I was going to run the show, and everybody was okay with that. And we also had to think, how many people are we going to have in this office? And I said, let's get 10,000 square feet. We'll do it in 10 years. I think we filled it in 2.
Donald had a huge ambition. He wanted to be the biggest broker in Ireland.
The plan was easy, come up with products that were designed for specific industries. You know, it's the heartbeat of Arcus. Professional indemnity, entertainment, electricians, plumbers, plant master, all of those. These all came back from the old days, you know. And it all started, to be honest with you, the first broker ever to do that was Roger Percival and the electrician scheme. And I piggybacked on that idea. I said, that has to win. That's a winner. We came up with Trademaster, we came up with Powermaster, we came up with all sorts of stuff. And we sold the brains out of it. And then on top of that, we had Dave and his corporate connections bringing in really, you know, high premium accounts. And what happened was the business started growing. But that wasn't fast enough for us either, because we wanted to grow even faster.
Everyone just rolled up their sleeves and wanted and climbed and got over the hill, found the next hill, got over that hill, and it gathered momentum, and we had just laser focus on areas that we could be really good at.
And we were the first broker really to look aggressively at acquisitions. So there was a sense of there's something very exciting happening here. It was the middle of the Celtic Tiger. We bought Wright Group and Fitzgerald's. So these were transformational purchases. And then the recession hit just after we bought. And everything went down. But they were still fantastic buys to this day. You know, we managed our way through. And this fellow arrived down in Cork, 2012. Short black hair, glasses, a bit quirky, John McCarthy. And he was telling me that really Arcus was a valuable asset, and if we ever thought about selling it, would we give him a shout?
First met Donal and Guy Percival down in Little Island in Cork in 2012. I was out on the road pitching for business with AIB, and walked into a meeting with two guys I'd never met before, and came away from the meeting like with an overriding impression of, you know, this is a phenomenal business. Incredible energy and clarity about what they were trying to do.
I contacted John McCarthy and said, come on, you were the only guy that saw the potential in us. Sell the business for us and see what you do. And my God, he did an amazing job. And we sold the business to Sovereign, and they gave us a pot of money. I said, do you think you can spend that on buying brokers? I said, can I do what? You know? I said to Sovereign, okay, I'll front it. I'll spend all that money. I'll get the best deals I can. We know how to acquire businesses, but I need to find a successor. I said, I already know who the successor is, but it's too early to tell you. But I said, I'll be very fussy as to who I would allow to replace me. In fact, there's only one guy that'll do it, but I have to talk to him first.
Donal used to come to Dublin every week on a Thursday from Cork to do his meetings on a Thursday and Friday. And myself used to always go to Brogan's Bar on Dame Street, and we'd have several pints of Guinness and we'd talk about stuff. And Donal was telling me about this really interesting journey that Arcus were on. The more he talked about it, I thought, wow, that's really exciting. They were number 16 in the market at the time. And I think the opportunity that I saw and I talked about with Donal was the opportunity for Arcus to become the number one in the Irish market, and we talked about that over several pints. He one day said to me, would you consider leading the business? And that's how it all happened. What I'd looked at in the US and the UK, where there'd been a significant amount of private equity capital coming into those markets, was that consolidation happened very, very quickly, and it was the first mover was the person who got the most advantage. So I remember sitting at the time, we had a new CFO that people will know, John McCarthy, and I remember sitting with John and Donal, and we decided that kind of pace was the most important thing. So Donal handing over the keys of the business to myself and John and the team that we built out here, we just decided to go as fast as we possibly could.
Ultimately, the easiest and most connected conversation we had was with David and the team in Ardonagh. We just had this sense that they got us, they understood us. When I asked David the question about, how supportive he would be, it was a case of saying, we think you guys know what you're doing, so we're here just to back you and support you, help you build your capability, give you the capital that you need, but support all the decisions that you make in your market. I found that very connected. I found that very liberating from our perspective, because we had the confidence that we had a great plan and we had a superb team and a really big opportunity in Ireland, and all we needed was the right partner, somebody who believed in us, backed us, and people that we could work with, people that seemed to be reasonable, rational, constructive, collaborative, friendly. Ardonagh were all of those things, and David led from the front with his team, but everybody we met in his team were the same. 5 years on, I mean, it's the best decision we could have made.
And it was like, you know, the boulder going down the hill. It just as it picked up pace, people then wanted to become part of this. So the conversations got easier because people could see we were building something special. We talked about the vision of what we were trying to create, which was an alternative broking force in the Irish market that wasn't overly corporate, but actually serviced the needs of probably the biggest part of our business community, which is the SME, micro business, affinity groups, high net worth, personal lines, all of that, you know, that was broked business that needed a good and a different customer service proposition, different to what might have been offered at the time. The ambition in terms of what I wanted us to be, so it wasn't just number one or biggest, I wanted us to be the best. I wanted people to respect what we're doing. People said to me, oh, maybe in 5, 6, 7 years time, and I said, no, we do this in the next 2 years. That kind of, we always had this mentality of it, us against the world.
Maybe initially there might have been a little bit of, you know, hesitation or reticence about the whole thing. Looking back on it now, I think we did a great job, or the lads in particular, John Mack and Sinead and the team that was there did a great job.
It struck me as a business that would support our clients better than others in terms of their approach to how they buy insurance and how they manage the market and all that kind of stuff. And it struck me as a place that people seem to be happy in. And that was important for me because I wanted my staff to come here and to stay here and develop careers and all that kind of thing.
I do remember when Joey came in first and he joined from Murray and Spellman. There was something about him that I thought, okay, this guy really gets kind of the heartbeat of this organisation, which is all about customer. I always felt that it was going to be a broker or a trader that would take over from me.
I suppose I'm 22 years an insurance broker. I actually wanted to be a teacher at one point, and I studied maths in UCD and did okay on the degree, but then suddenly walked out to college going, what the hell am I going to do now? But my dad gave me a kick in the ass and he went, here's a job in the local paper, you go get it. A brokerage in Burr, County Offaly called John Fleury, which ironically is part of the Arcus family today. So that was my first insurance job, but it literally was carrying paper files for him up and down to a basement. So you learn a lot about work ethic there. But I fell in love with the insurance industry at that moment. I had decided to move to Australia when I got a job offer in a business called Murray and Spellman, just around the corner here. And in my mind, I'd go in for 6 months, earn some money, and head off with the lads. But from there, I suppose, I met a group of people. I became part of a story. Over the first 5 years, I was made general manager, a director, a shareholder, and all of a sudden, I'm 12 years into the business, and someone like Arachas knocks on the door, and they want to buy your business. But it all happened in 2019, and if I've been really honest, I wasn't happy in 2019. It was something, as a minority shareholder in the business, that decision was being made for you. So that business was 36 people, about 36 friends, and I was the commercial director. We had built something together. My life was in Galway. So all the usual suspects looked at us. But I met Arachas, I met Donal Cronin, and I met Conor Brennan. So I had a choice as to where we actually went. And I just believed the story. It was only a story at the time, but by God has that story become a reality now. I suppose I was thrilled to be chosen to be the next CEO. To walk in the footsteps of people like Donal Cronin and Conor Brennan was an honour for me.
He was quite curious and he always had lots of different ideas, or he was always thinking about the next stage of evolution and development. And I think Joey, as a pure trader, he was a pretty obvious choice then.
Because remember, Conor and I weren't insurance brokers. So I think that kind of is obviously Joey's huge skill set.
We never want Arachas to become this big corporate structure. We won't allow that to be. Do we want to have the capability of the large globals and the corporates? Of course we have. We're actually Ireland's largest broker now. We have all of that. We're not just here to assimilate or consolidate. We're here to build something that lasts.
As I was looking at and considering the opportunity to kind of join Arcus, I suppose I'd been aware of the Arcus story from the financial press. You know, the business has been on kind of quite a fast-paced growth trajectory. The market is still quite fragmented, which actually presents opportunities. And I guess you look at the Arcus business and the kind of the building blocks that are already in place. To me, you bring all that together was a really compelling opportunity.
I left a global company to work for Aracus, and people did say to me at the time, what are you doing? Why are you going from a global to a small Irish broker? And at the time there was 170 staff, so it wasn't even that small.
So when I left Ireland in 2004, Aracus didn't even exist. And then I think about 12 months later, maybe even a little bit less, Aracus came together, those three founding families. And I guess I would have been very impressed with the ambition that sent to the market in terms of we're going to be a serious player and we are going to take consolidation to the next level.
I suppose being part of the biggest success story ever in the Irish broking sector in Ireland is fairly phenomenal. Continuing to play my part in this ever-evolving story is what gets me up every day with a smile on my face.
The one thing that I see in Arcus is the quality of the people, and some of those I suppose would have come through acquisition, like Joey would have come from an acquisition. I think there's a real quality of person within the Arcus world which really sets them apart from other brokers.
Back to product development and scheme development and looking for that edge in the market and looking to deliver more for your customers or bring something different to your regional brokers. We use the phrase, we run toward the fire. Now what that means is, insurance market is cyclical and it goes up and it goes down in terms of it being a hard market or a soft market. Arcus likes to look at that differently. We like to use our data capability and bringing together that data in a way that we can submit to an insurer in the manner that they understand. Going to the CEO of a business, getting that attention. Will you write this basket of risks for me? And here is the performance of that business, and here is why this group of people deserve to get insurance at a reasonable level, because they are going to implement risk management, because we are going to support them to get there.
The bigger the challenge, the higher we jump.
Most of the schemes that were set up are still here today. What we've done now is added new schemes, but the old schemes have also stood the test of time.
I think there's lots of opportunities for growth within the business, you know, and that kind of feeds into a lot of my decision to kind of join. You know, ultimately organic growth is going to be a key focus for us over the next number of years. So, you know, there's a lot of experience in terms of history, in terms of kind of scheme development. And then I think you couple that with the opportunity that still exists from an M&A perspective. We're lucky that we have quite a large regional presence. There's still quite a fragmented market in the insurance broking space, so that provides opportunity for us to kind of continue to kind of build on a regional presence and build on that capability that exists there.
We have 16 offices located throughout the country, which enables us to service our customers much better than our competitors.
We've kind of maintained that small broker feel, whether you're in the Galway office, the Cork office, the Sandyford office, the new Santry office.
Arcus has a level of energy to it that you don't really see too often across the marketplace. It means that we're bringing to the table different options which customers won't necessarily see from others.
When you take a step back and take a look back, that you see how far we've come.
We're able to bring more competitive pricing for our clients, wider covers, and also with our schemes facility side and wholesale arm, we're able to bring in, as I said, new products that we've never seen before been available when we were with Murray and Spellman.
When we need to get something done for the benefit of our clients, more often than not, we can do that.
It still had that small feel, everyone knew each other, and it was like a combination of a lot of small brokers with big ambitions, and I think that's probably, there was no corporate structure, no corporate feel, and everyone was given the flexibility to do the work they wanted to do.
It's a huge animal now. I mean, we've got so many different departments.
And Joey's job now is to turn that into a fighting machine, and I've no doubt that he will.
I think there's so much more to achieve just in the insurance distribution space. The minute we think we're satisfied and happy, then we allow the competition to catch up. We can't allow that to happen. We have to keep pushing forward.
But don't forget the existing customer, don't forget the people who put us where we are.
It's just about just doing a really good job for customers, and that'll stand to the business. As long as we're the best at that, we're going to continue to be the best and the biggest.
Using that leverage that we have both locally here as Aracus Group, but also the Ardonagh family in the UK and globally, just that size and strength can only bring positivity for a customer.
When we started our acquisitions, nobody else was doing it. Now it's a frenzy. Something that was started with 3 lads just having a drink grows to this.
The one thing that remains in our DNA is innovation and expectation, an expectation to succeed and a belief that we will succeed.